Hello, welcome to On Point. I'm Dean Perez. Greek organizations nationwide are under scrutiny after a series of hazing incidents and tragedies. The University of Arizona, Johns Hopkins, and the University of Virginia are a few schools that have suspended Greek organizations in the past month. You can add CSUN to that list, and some CSUN students say they have developed some conflicting feelings about fraternities and sororities.
It's like a new chapter of life, and like if it's a sorority or fraternity, you have the option of joining something to feel a part of something bigger and meaningful in your life, then good for them. I got nothing against them.
You always hear bad things about fraternity or like frat boys or frat parties and sorority girls just being catty and stuff like. So I guess you have that mentality, like, well, I did, at least coming in here, and I didn't really want to be part of a sorority or a fraternity.
I've heard mixed emotions, you know, like that everyone's fake to each other, but I've also heard that people are very nice. People are very nice and, you know, welcoming. So that's a good thing. So, I mean, it's two different sides, I believe.
In July of this year, 18-year-old Armando Villa died during a hazing ritual involving the Pi Kappa Phi fraternity. Instead of suspending Greek life altogether, CSUN President Diane Harrison removed just Pi Kappa Phi from the university. But 2 months into the semester, another fraternity, Pi Kappa Alpha, was suspended after another hazing incident. This incident was enough for President Harrison to suspend all pledging activities for the 2015 spring semester indefinitely. On Point's Alex Vejar has more.
Thank you, Dean. Here today we have Andres Rodriguez. He's the former recruitment chair of the Interfraternity Council. We also have Katrina Brkic. She's the former vice president of the Panhellenic Council. And finally, Joshua Stepakoff, you are the newly appointed president of the Interfraternity Council. Thank you guys for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
My first question is for all of you, and I will start with you, Josh. The past few months, there have been some tragedies that have gone on throughout a lot of the fraternities in the U.S., and particularly here over the summer with the death of Armando Villa during kind of like a recruitment kind of thing. And when you heard about Armando Villa's death and the details surrounding it, what went through your mind?
I mean, you can't help but to feel disgusted that these kind of activities are going on, because it obviously points against every value that we preach, being a part of the Greek system. It's about being responsible and being community members. It's not about harming other people. So, I mean, when you hear something like that, you can't really help but to feel just absolutely disgusted. I felt sad, I felt heartbroken, and, you know, it's not a good feeling to know that somebody isn't coming home that day. So it definitely crosses my mind when you think about it, and just, you know, that's somebody who could have done amazing things, and they're not here anymore.
Katrina, what about you?
I honestly was shocked, because I knew some of the members in there, and I would never think of them to do acts like that. So honestly, just shock, sadness for the whole community, because he touched a lot of people. So just a lot of sadness.
Andy?
Yeah, also, I mean, I was very saddened. I was just also shocked because this happened, I guess, during the summer. And usually, I mean, from a process perspective, like a pledge process perspective, I used to think that all pledge process usually cease, you know, at the end of the semester, or at least like no more activities done, and they wait for grades or something. So just for it to be in the summertime, really shocked me.
And Andy, this question is actually for all of you, but I'll start with you, Andy. When President Diane Harrison announced that pledging activities were going to be suspended, you know, what were your thoughts on that?
For this upcoming spring 2015, it was shocking, to say the least, but at the same time, I can see it from her perspective that in the summertime, you know, you just had the death of a fraternity member or someone that was trying to rush a fraternity, and then, you know, we did like a whole, you know, 180, try to implement a new program, and for there to be another situation, it seems like she had to do something, which I don't blame her, but, you know, now we're really trying to have that dialogue with the administration so we could really see how to really come to, you know, a middle ground where we have more either restrictions or another type of procedure for pledging, but at the same time being able to, you know, recruit new members for the next semester.
What about you, Katrina?
When she stopped the pledging process, it didn't directly affect my organization because we had already initiated our members. But I do think that it was very smart for the for the fraternities, because I also thought that it's an extremely long process that they go through, but it's different for every organization. Some people have a 6-week, 8-week, sometimes semester process. So I think it was actually smart because just to shorten it, because when they do have longer times for pledging processes, things like what happened over the summer occur. And so it was just a smart choice on her behalf. So.
What about you, Josh?
I was definitely surprised, actually, that she even kept the Greek system around in general. She made it very clear during her announcement that she could have just disbanded the Greek system completely and that she would be ridiculed no matter what she did. And she probably took the most ridicule just by keeping us around and cutting pledging short for that semester, canceling it for the next semester, and giving us the opportunity to regain the administration's trust. So it was definitely surprising, but in a good way.
You mentioned that you were surprised that she didn't do away with the Greek system altogether. There are a lot of people, when things like this happen throughout fraternities or sororities across the country, what would your solution be if you could, try to fix these kinds of problems that have been going on lately?
We're definitely going to take a reevaluative look at all the pledge processes. I know there are some plans between myself and my advisor for Interfraternity Council as to what our guidelines are going to be and how we go about checking to make sure that every single fraternity is abiding by our rules, because we don't condone the actions that have ultimately ended in the life of somebody and the extreme discomfort of somebody else. And so, we're definitely going to have a long talk with each president and sit down with them and their executive board and try to determine what the best way to go about pledging is that is in no way demeaning and is only a positive experience as it should be.
Katrina, to kind of piggyback on his point, what do you think that sororities can do to try to limit things like this that can possibly happen to them?
I think that what we have in our system, when we go through recruitment, we educate. We have a little, not a survey, but an educational process before they are even allowed to go in. So that helps to weed out members that may have doubts, or just it educates them on what we're about. So then it weeds out the people who don't agree with what we are about. So when things like this happen, we know that it just, I don't know how to phrase it. We just try to put in different processes to make sure that we don't have members that are coming in and going to harm people.
Now, there are a lot of misconceptions about fraternity, sorority life, the partying, some drinking stuff, and even, unfortunately, some sexual assault stuff. But Andy, I wanted to ask you, what do you think some of the benefits are to joining a fraternity?
Well, there are many benefits, and that's what I really try to focus on when people approach me and ask me, what they think about the Greek system, as opposed to all the negative stereotypes you see on the media or in movies and all that. I would say, a strong benefit that not a lot of people had, that not really I had in my family, I would say brotherhood. Very cliche, but that's one of the main points, to have a brotherhood you never had, rely on people, especially, while you're transitioning into a phase in your life like college. So just to have people to back you up during that college life. Also, the networking aspect. When you join a fraternity here on campus, or at least in Interfraternity Council, we're all national fraternities, meaning if we ever decide to transfer to another school, usually if we do have our chapter of our fraternity there, they welcome us with open arms, and we feel all together. So it helps us out like that as well.
Now, according to the North American Interfraternity Conference, 3.8 million community service hours were done last year by fraternities, and $21 million were raised in philanthropy. Josh, what kind of community service and philanthropy do CSUN fraternities do?
Countless. Every single fraternity and sorority has their own fundraiser, philanthropy that they partner with. My personal chapter, Sigma Chi, we partner with Children's Hospital LA, And I think about a year and a half ago, we raised over $12,000 that we donated to them. And that was a fundraiser that we did within about a week. And you know, we require the help of local businesses, and we get all the different fraternities and sororities involved, and we just try to have a good time with it. A couple weeks ago, another sorority on campus did I think it was a breast cancer, like 10K, and you know, people show up to those, people donate money. We have all sorts of different fundraisers here on campus. I know they can talk about whichever ones their organizations are responsible for, but every single house has their own charity that they like to work with, and it's up to them every single year to get creative and have some fun and find out a new way that they can raise awareness and raise money for these different philanthropies.
Yeah, and kind of too, if I can add,
Sure.
one of the collective philanthropy events that we did, like this past semester, like through IFC, was the walk a mile in their shoes, which actually was, you know, to bring awareness against, you know, sexual assault or sexual domestic violence, and that was pretty cool because, you know, it took, you know, bringing members from every fraternity together for a common cause. So not only do we have our own individual chapter, you know, national philanthropy that we contribute to, but here at CSUN we really try to, you know, get that collective type of community service going on as well.
Katrina, how do you think Greek members as a whole for both fraternities and sororities benefit from doing these kinds of community activities?
Definitely on the Panhellenic Council, we implemented sister sororities where we have 7 different sororities and they pair up. There's 1 and 2. So for example, Alpha Phi and Kappa Kappa Gamma were together this semester, and they do community service events and they get points for it. So it's like a kind of competition. So it brings out like a fun side to it. And just this past couple of weeks, they did a fundraiser at Pizza Rev, and then they donated all the money to an anti-hazing foundation. So that's a way for them to strengthen the Greek community while giving back to the community.
Cool.
There's another part of that is that, like, you know, with having students getting involved in these different fundraisers and having them learn more about all the different issues that are going on in the world. You know, I learned about, I've learned about hazing, I've learned about sexual assault, I've learned about, I forget what the official title is, but arthritis in kids. You know, I've learned about all sorts of different organizations that are in the community that surround us. Children's Hospital LA, which is right in our backyard, and it's an amazing facility that needs the attention that we give it, and it's a learning process for everyone involved in the Greek system because you get to understand all these different organizations. You get to sit down and plan an event, which is a great experience for the rest of your life. You have to work with budgets, you have to work with all sorts of different things that allow you to have great life experience, let alone learning about these amazing organizations.
This next question is for all of you. Andy, we'll start with you. How was your time at CSUN different because you were involved in a fraternity?
Well, I rushed, you know, straight off the bat when I came fall 11, my freshman year. And it was amazing just because before I came to college, I already knew I wanted to get involved, you know, develop my leadership skills, but also, you know, like get into a diverse type of brotherhood. That's exactly why, you know, I joined TEAC. Not only do I learn from other people's experiences, and also, you know, by being involved with the fraternity, like Josh said, you know, you do have to run a budget. You do have to, you know, network with other, you know, councils like Panhellenic and whoever else. So you're developing your professional skills. By the time you leave college, you have these tools with you that you can use, as opposed to someone that just goes to school. And I know some people really have to work full time, you know, just to go to school. But for those that, you know, really seek to get involved but don't, it's very, to me, it's very not just boring but unproductive. So.
What about you, Katrina? How has your time at CSUN been affected by being a sorority sister?
It's been an invaluable experience because I unlike Andy, I joined my sophomore year, and it is very common for people to join then and even later on. But I mostly joined for networking, and I never had sisters. I always had a brother, so I really wanted to have like a sister, an older sister. So honestly, networking, I've gotten most of my internships through our alum, through sisters that have worked different places, and it's a huge asset to have. And plus, different sororities have different programs to go to their headquarters across the country and meet people from Canada, US, different countries, and it's amazing to meet people. We have sisters from France, from Alaska, so it's really cool to meet a whole bunch of people, and it just really develops you as a person, your leadership skills, your communication skills. It's just a very handy thing. And my parents were a little skeptical at first, but now seeing everything that I've benefited from, they would have me do it all over again without a doubt.
I also joined freshman year right off the bat, came in first couple weeks, and I just wanted to get more out of CSUN. I knew there was more from CSUN that I could get, and so I just decided to go out. I had a couple friends who were checking out Rush as well, and we all decided that, you know, it would be fun. And I didn't really have an idea what I was getting myself into, but there's a constant knowing that there's always a group of people around you who are there to support you through your good times, through your bad times. If I'm having a rough time at home, I can go to them and they'll pick me back up. If I'm having a hard time on a homework assignment, I can turn to somebody and they'll help me with my schoolwork. So I mean, it's that overall social network of just people who you can always count on being there definitely helped me a lot. I grew a lot as a person. One of the things that it helped me with over the years was the confidence for public speaking. I wouldn't have been able to do this kind of interview before college because I get like really nervous, and and it just wasn't something that I was good at. And throughout the years, I practiced, and I have to get up and make speeches for elections throughout the fraternity, and so just throughout practice and other small things that we had to do, I just grew as a person. I learned how to manage my time better. I learned how to juggle school and work and extracurricular activities, and so.
Katrina, if a policy gets violated by a sorority, what is the council, the Panhellenic Council, what kind of role do they have in disciplining individuals or even entire chapters?
They would have an infraction filed against them that is directly in my position, or was in my position. The way we do it is it goes first to mediation, and you talk out with the third party who has no clue like what happened. They both present their sides, and then an outcome comes. Usually it's just an educational retreat that they have to do, just teach the chapter about what they did wrong, why they shouldn't do it again as a whole. So that's how it goes, but usually they can appeal, and then it goes to a higher thing. But usually it never goes higher, just mediation, and everything gets resolved.
According to an NASPA journal article from 2007, men in fraternities are actually more likely to commit sexual assault than other college men who aren't involved in fraternities. And I wanted to ask you specifically, what do you think the problem is with that?
I think there's so many factors that get thrown into it. There's alcohol, there's drugs. You're not in your home setting anymore. You go off to college, you have this freedom, and usually people aren't used to that kind of freedom, and they abuse it, and then they start getting into the wrong crowds. They start doing drugs, drinking, and they don't think the way that they would usually. And then peer pressure of, hey, I'm in college, I'm a guy, I need to get with a girl. Like, there's other ways to go about it, and I think that they just get caught up in the moment, and they obviously end up regretting it for the rest of their life, and it's something that sticks with them. But I think that being in a college atmosphere and not being used to it is a huge thing. So.
Josh or Annie, do you want to respond to what she said?
Sure. Yeah, like she was saying, I think freedom is a big thing also. Just because, during high school you are at home, you are with your parents. They usually have set guidelines or like a curfew for you. But, I feel like if you're kind of bottled up for a long time until you just have all this freedom in college, you can make some poor decisions if you're not guided the right way. That's why I do I do really thank, my fraternity brothers for like allowing me to sit down and then giving me some tips on like, what's happening out there, like the real world in college and all that. Not saying it's all scary, but just to have, guidance always helps.
I mean, I can't speak to the events that have happened at other schools, and I mean, I'm personally not somebody who would ever even think about sexually assaulting somebody, so it blows my mind that people do it, so I can't really come up with any explanation or reasoning as to why they do it or what comes from it. It's a very disgusting act, and there's not a lot that I can really say that would either defend or come up with a reason as to why they do that. So.
Andy, what do you think can be done to prevent hazing or more serious offenses like sexual assault in the Greek system?
So with the hazing, with all that happened in the summer, obviously it's very shocking and it's very wrong. So when that happened, we knew immediately as an IFC council that we needed to do something. So we implemented the PrEP program, which was borrowed, I think, from San Diego State, which stands for the Recruitment Education Program. And what that does is it not only brings awareness to like a potential member for a fraternity to, recognize the school guidelines, everything that comes with joining a school organization. It not only, allows you to become familiar with all that, but it does teach you about, sexual assault and hazing, that if you ever see this going on, you should report it. You should say that it's wrong. So I think that was a big step from our school, that we were able to implement a program in such, small amount of time right before recruitment. So allowing potential new members for fraternities and sororities to, gain all this knowledge before they even rush or attend a rush event is very beneficial, because years ago we didn't really have that, and we just kind of dove into fraternities and really didn't know what we were getting ourselves into.
Now, hazing is illegal in California, and it has punishments such as, fines, jail time, suspension of chapters, things like that. Katrina, why do you think, even though there are punishments for hazing, why do you think it still goes on?
I feel a lot of it goes on because I don't want to use the word tradition, because tradition should be looked at something highly, like you do it because your ancestors did it, something special to you. A lot of people do it because it was tradition. What happened 30 years ago and they still do today, it makes no sense, but they call it their tradition. So that's why it goes on, and they just want to say, hey, my big bro and his big bro and those kind of people, like, goes on for years. They did it, so now we're going to do it. So I think that's what keeps it going.
Josh, like we said earlier, you're the newly appointed president of the IFC Council. What steps are you going to take as in that position that's going to ensure that hazing incidents don't happen at CSUN?
We are going to do everything that we possibly can, and it starts with sitting down with each organization and thoroughly going through their old hazing process, picking out the things that are unacceptable, and as well as, I have some ideas, and one of which is sitting each chapter down and going over some new tactics that they can use to promote bonding. Because the old mentality was that hazing promotes the relationship, the brotherhood. It makes you bond stronger and all sorts of stuff like that. And so we're going to sit down and we're going to discuss different ways to go about that bonding that are safe and they don't demean anybody, because that's simply, what needs to happen, is that these processes need to be looked at much more closely. As of right now, or in the past, they just kind of had a blind eye turned to them, and if it wasn't in the media, then people didn't hear about it. And unfortunately, or fortunately, over summer, we heard about it, and now we can make a change and hopefully try to end it completely.
I want to go back to Armando Vejar just for a second. Andy, from a recruitment standpoint, how do you think Armando's death is going to change the way that fraternities do recruitment?
Well, as I mentioned before, we have implemented the pre-recruitment program, the PrEP program. So I think that's a big step, because before anyone that is thinking about joining a fraternity, before you actually attend a rush event, you need to have completed this PrEP online course. So just to be able to verify before you go to a rush event that you have completed this course is already shows a lot. Obviously, there's still a lot more, as in how Josh said, individually getting to know the rushing process of every fraternity, and then the pledging process of every fraternity, being able to see like what is still or what is unacceptable in a lot of these. You kind of gotta personalize every single one so that there is no hazing like involved. But as far as the next steps we can do besides the PrEP program and seeing what else, just promoting the good things that we have done, and continue everything, so then these potential new members, they're not just pushed away by the negative media and all that. Unfortunately it did happen, but there is still a lot that we are doing and have been doing to promote our values.
This question is for all of you. Hopefully all of you guys get the chance to answer it. Josh, we'll start with you. How do you think that Via's death is going to change the way that Greek life is viewed by the student body?
It's already changed the way that people see us, and we're doing everything that we can to reverse that, because we're seen very negatively right now, and we want to show people that we actually are a great group of people who really enjoy just helping the community and just having a good time.
Katrina, what do you think?
Josh couldn't have said it better. That's exactly what I was going to say. So I totally agree.
Andy, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just, kind of like I said, just promoting the things that we still are doing. So like the philanthropy work, being involved on campus. There are a lot of leaders on campus that are Greek.
Thank you all for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and frustration a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy and giving up impossible. I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought and unconventional methods common. I'm a teacher. I make more.
Thank you for watching On Point. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook by searching CSUN On Point. You can watch us on TV on LA 36 Saturday mornings at 8:30 and Sunday mornings at 11:30. You can hear the show on KCSN 88.5 FM on Sunday mornings at 5:30. For all of us here at On Point, I'm Dean Perez.